Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed us as leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity. We beseech you to look upon the abundant favor of your servants, who have been pleased with the performance of such important trust in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in such just and faithful manners, promotion and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their church. Amen.
Item number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I must apologize for coming in late by 10 minutes. As you are aware that under Rule 1292 of the Rules of Procedure, that requires committees to report back the bills referred to them within 45 days. Most of the bills were sent to committees and have not been brought back. Of the 9 bills, only 2 are still within 45 days. The 7 have expired. So I expect the 7 bills to be brought to the House as per the rules of procedure in Parliament. The committees are aware that following the bills that were granted up to, we are granting the committees up to 10th of this month to have the bills in the House to be processed. But the rules also allow us that if you don't bring the bills within that time, the House can go ahead and have the bill read for the second time. The rules allow us to do that. I just want to remind you that the bills which are outside there that ought to be brought to the House. There is a Market Bill 2021 that was sent to the Committee for Public Service and Local Government. The Mining and Mineral Bill 2021 was sent to Committee of Environment and Natural Resources. The Succession Bill 2021, which was sent to the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2, 2021, that is Committee of Budget. Supplementary Appropriation number 3, Bill Committee of Budget. The Fiscal Planners Registration Bill 2021, Committee of Fiscal Infrastructure. And then the Fisheries Bill, which was sent to the Committee of Agriculture. Honorable members, we recently approved the National Budget Framework Paper 2022-2023 to 2026-2027 as a House. We reiterate our commitment to complying with the legally stipulated timelines in the budget consideration process. However, our efficiency is interlinked with the efficiency of executive that constitutionally bears the responsibility for budget formulation. So we ask the executive to help us, to help them. I hereby put executive on notice that the timelines of the remaining statutory timelines for the budget process, 15th March 2022, we expect the Ministerial Policy Statement for the financial year 2022-2023. You can still bring it even before. 2, on 1st April, we expect the presentation of the annual budget and tax bills to Parliament. 3, 31st May 2022, this House will approve the budget for the financial year 2022-2023 to pave way for its operationalization on 1st July 2022. I therefore urge the front bench ministers to not adhere to the timelines, especially my brother, Henry Musasisi. Honorable members, during yesterday's sitting, The matter was raised by Honorable Macho Godfrey on delayed clearance of incoming cargo trucks by custom authorities at Busia border. And the Honorable Minister promised to give us a statement today on that issue. So we'll expect a statement from the Honorable Minister, Honorable Bahati, who should give us that statement before we move far. Honorable members, I also want to vary the order paper to bring forward item 5 before item 3 of the order paper. Yesterday's debate was stayed because we needed item 5 to be presented to the House first for us to verify what happened in the previous process and what should be done for this process to work out. And that was on COVID-19 funds, which report is a joint report of Park Central and Park Local government. So we'll get that report first before we get a report from the cash relief. I want to thank you members so much for coming and having a full house. I'll still remind you, for now we can still have a free sitting. We can have free sitting. And then matters of national importance. Yes. There's a procedural matter. Yes.
Thank you, no speaker. No speaker, my procedure matter comes from your communication. You've talked about bills which have expired. And indeed, this parliament provides facilities for committees to carry out their work. Actually, the sitting has even an allowance for the committees whenever they sit. So would it be procedure okay to know from the chairpersons of those committees who have rendered bills expired, yet our major role here is processing of bills. That one alone keeps us incompetent, and maybe the chairpersons of those committees. We are aware members lobby for these chairpersons to be chairpersons of committees. So if a bill is given to a committee and it expires within 45 days, yet there is also a provision, the rules of procedure, that you can come and seek for extension of time at the discretion of the speaker. So that no speaker, wouldn't it be procedure okay? We know from which committees are those, and the chairpersons should give explanation to you, and the House should know why they did not process those bills.
Thank you. Members, as I said before, I am requesting the chairpersons to bring their reports to the House. There are only 2 bills that still have the 45 days outstanding. If they have a challenge, let them come back and ask for an extension. Short of that, we will be left with no option but take an action on the leadership. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in your communication, you reminded us about our legal timelines, especially in processing of the budget. And I want to appreciate you for that. And I want to make a commitment before the House that we are working around the clock. We are aware about the 15th, the 1st of April, and also the 31st of May. And I want to commit that as a ministry, we will try as much as possible to adhere to the timelines stipulated within the Public Finance Management Act.
Thank you.
And I want to also thank you and the House for passing the budget framework paper within the legal timelines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, and I hope you consolidate as we agreed. Look at the other issues that were pending, then we have it. Robert? I know you all have procedural issues. I'm coming to you. But don't smuggle a matter of national importance.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't intend at all to raise a procedural issue against your communication. And it's not what I'm raising, but I'm raising an issue. Right Honorable Speaker, you have directed that committees chairperson should come back and report or ask for an extension. Personally, I belong to the Agriculture Committee, and we have come here, Right Honorable Speaker, the chairperson has previously asked for an extension, and we are considering the fisheries and agriculture bill. This is not a boardroom bill. It is a field bill. And the Parliament has committed. Madam Speaker, I want to be very clear. I don't want to say that you have committed, but Parliament committed to provide resources. And that is the reason, as some of these bills are delaying. I'm a vice chairperson of the National Economic Committee. Previously, we have gone to the field, and we have had to solicit for fuel from members that the money will come later. So this is my humble appeal, that it should not be a way of reporting that we should always come and ask for extensions. We are clear, we know that even if we ask for extensions, minus resources, we shall just be asking for
Honorable
extension.
Robert Megade, I don't want you to mislead this House. We've never failed to have money for inland travels, unless if you're saying, Honorable, do you have something to say?
Madam Speaker, I just wanted to make reference to your communication from the chair regarding the question which was asked by the point which was raised by Honorable Macho about the traffic.
I thought you wanted to say something on him. Let me first finish with Robert.
Okay.
Robert, there is no committee that has asked for money for inland travel. Kindly sit, my OB. There is no committee that has asked for money for inland travel and failed to get money. I don't think you need to go out for you to complete with the bill. If the issue is on the money, have you come and asked or raised that issue? The inefficiency in the committee should not be brought to us. If you have financial problems, come to us. But what we want the report on the floor.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker. Personally, I don't have financial problems, but the committee.
If there is a financial problem on the committee, that is what I'm saying, not as you. Honorable ICT.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm standing in as acting Chief Whip of the government side. First of all, Right Honorable Speaker, there should be no room for negotiating this issue because the rules are very clear on the timelines. And if the committee is constrained for various reasons,
like you have guided, the rules are clear that the chairperson should come and seek extension, and we allow it or not as a house. And if the ministers who are constraining the committees, the chairperson should come to the office of the government chief whip to ensure that the ministers who usually bring these bills can comply and assist and attend the committee meetings. On our side, we are going to meet the committee chairpersons who belong to the ruling party. Yes, because yes, there are committees whose leadership is from the ruling party. There are committees whose leadership is from the opposition. Cut us off our rules, and we shall guide appropriately our committee chairpersons to respect the rules, to comply, and make sure that we don't have a challenge of failing to get business when the committees have a lot of work that they are doing. So that
Thank you, Chair, Government Chief Whip. When we're in Parliament, all the chairpersons belong to Parliament of Uganda. We agreed we don't have parties here. We agreed there are no parties here when it comes to work. And if you're meeting the chairpersons, we will meet the chairpersons as business committee, where all the chairpersons come. Because if a bill is in a committee where opposition is heading, that bill is still for the House. It's for Parliament. Like now, I want a report from PAC requested for money. We facilitated them for good working relationship. They are all our people. Thank you. But not only that. No. I have already responded to it. No. See, I mean, I've responded to it. I don't want exchange in the House. There was the local government.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, indeed, the bill on the market bill 2021 was referred to the Committee on Public Service and Local Government. And it was referred to us the end of last year. When we started considering the bill, there was also work which was referred to the committee. Now, when we came back after the recess, we were told the issue of the budget framework papers.
Honorable Chair.
Could you allow me just to finish?
Chair, with the due respect.
Yes, please.
If you had challenges, put it in writing, come and seek for an extension.
That's why I've stood, Madam Speaker. We are already considering that bill. We are left with only a week.
Listen, we are not giving you an extension by you talking. Come back and ask for an extension officially, and we'll do that in writing. I'm not asked you chairs to explain why you have delayed. No.
Madam Speaker, was just, if you only you could allow me finish it.
Madam Speaker, if I got you right, you've reminded the committees to bring bills within the realms of Rule 129(2). You do not invite every chairperson to come here and tell us his problems in his committee. You have only reminded them of their responsibility under 129(2). Is the chairperson therefore in order to engage Parliament in an unnecessary debate over a matter that is settled by you and our rules?
I think Honorable Nsima was a little absent-minded, so next time you listen to the ruling. Sarah?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue I'm raising arises from your communication. You recall the employment bill was passed by the 10th Parliament in April 2021 and sent to the president. It is not among the bills that were returned. And Right Honorable Speaker, that bill is very important for the domestic workers, for the women of this country. And we seek for guidance on what happens, because it's not among the bills that were returned, and yet it has not been assented to by the president. So we seek, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. Or it's already law now, according to our rules of proceeding. Thank you, Right Honorable
It
Speaker.
can't be a law if you've not received the assented copy. And it is implied if you've not received it by now, the time of Parliament elapsed. If you're not sure of what happened to the bill, then you apply Rule 235.
Madam Speaker, I just want to respond to your communication and to state that the issues of delays are not only on the bills, but they're also on the reports. There are several actions that this House has forwarded to committees, but we haven't received the reports. And today on the order paper, we're discussing the COVID cash, but we also have the private transfer of cash to the teachers. If these reports had come in earlier, perhaps we would avoid the repetition. So I would like to, my prayers is that we also ask the committees that have overdue reports, that a deadline be provided for them to be able to report back to the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lucy. Lucy, then the procedures amended.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Procedure is also there.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, on the 8th of December, 2021.
Is it on my communication?
It's part of the delayed, is on delayed reports. I'm just giving a preamble.
Okay.
Thank you. On 8th December, I brought an issue here about the curriculum being taught to our kids in school. It's 4 weeks now, our children have gone back to school. We haven't got a report from the ministry regarding what actions or steps that have been taken in ensuring that what has been in the curriculum is actually, which is dangerous to our children, is actually removed from the curriculum. Madam Speaker, I am worried for our children because we haven't got a report yet. Thank you.
Government Chief Whip. There was an issue that was raised on the floor. The minister is around. Education.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. Indeed, it is true, my colleague raised that issue last year in December, as she stated, and I pledge that indeed we will follow it up after receiving a communication, a written document following the issue that was raised. Right Honorable Speaker, this morning I spoke with my colleague about the same issue, and there was no follow-up, a written.
Honorable Minister. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for her good response, which is not so useful now. But this House, Right Honorable Speaker, has raised a number of issues concerning education. And among them, Right Honorable Speaker, to the Minister, I raised an issue about the way you are transforming from grade 3 teachers to bachelors in primary and changing teacher training colleges. And you promised to give the same responses. Nothing has happened, but the schools are beginning on, and teacher training colleges I think you have closed them, though you don't have teachers in schools because some of them have left for other better jobs. So the clarification I'm seeking from you through the Speaker, don't you think we'd find a better time to look at the answer from where you have said of last year, Honorable Minister, where you were even a Minister of Health, by the way. You were out of this docket. So that you look at all the issues you have been raising, you bring them here comprehensively. We have a better debate over them, other than coming here to give excuses and thinking that you are giving an answer which will not justify the happiness and the need within your docket. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, this matter was raised on the floor, and it was a very pertinent matter, very pertinent, where the curriculum had a curriculum of which class, P4? P5, P6 had very funny things in the books, which were approved by the ministry. It would be prudent for you to put it in writing, bring a report. Bring a report on the action you've taken on this. We shouldn't just, you don't come with a response like that.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As I was stating before, I discussed this with my colleague, Honorable Lucy Apello, and I said we have not received the communication, that issue which was raised. I requested her, bring that issue. Already a document, a statement was made, but I need to make reference to that letter. Madam Speaker, I want to pledge next week on Wednesday, I will bring that information right, even without a communication, written communication from
Let me
here.
tell you,
I thank you.
Madam Honorable Minister, when the issue was raised, you were in the House. I don't know what communication you want us to give you. You were in the House. If you're not sure of what was asked, get the answer. It is a public document. Just get it. But we are not going to write to you. We can only give an extract of a resolution of a motion to you. But there was no motion. You're in the House, you responded. Yes, Honorable Prime Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the issues that you are saying that you raised on the issue of...
Right, Honorable Speaker, it has increasingly become a fashion for ministers to disregard SOPs in this House, and which sends very bad signals out there. The borders we have continued to restrict even when they are not spreading COVID. You see a minister jumps up, gets to a public microphone, which is not sanitized, and speaks. One, this embarrasses us as leaders in a country where we have restricted other people. Is it in order for my very good friend, Honorable Justice Kasule Lumumba, the minister without portfolio, to proceed on the microphone without sanitizing, even when the sanitizer is provided?
You know, Honorable Segona likes Honorable Justin Lumumba so much. And he wanted to show her that he's around. So.
All right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank Honorable Segona for being so kind and loving Ugandans that he minds so much about their lives, including Kasule Lumumba Justin. Thank you, I appreciate. Right, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I've had the discussion and I want to make a request to you that the Minister of Education would be here next week if you accord us time on the order paper, because that lies within your hands, to come and bring written responses to the issues that have been raised about education. The issues that have been raised are pertinent. Some of them are time-bound because we have opened the schools after having them closed for the period you are all aware. And then we have moved into the new curriculum. We are talking about issues to do with the P5, P6, P7, but we also have new curriculum for secondary education. It will be a big issue, but they will present a summarized issue, a summarized information or report to us, so that all of us as stakeholders, because education is good for all, and it's the gate for everybody to good life and to open gates to the different parts of the world. We shall, on behalf of the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, I pledge. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give you space on Wednesday.
Most
And
obliged.
kindly, we want action taken.
Most obliged. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Sewungu.
Speaker, I want to find out how different her submission is different from the minister's response.
I have called Honorable Sewungu. I have already ruled on that. Prime Minister, have a seat. Honorable Semuju.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raise a matter of public importance that requires urgent attention. Today, Madam Speaker, I was at Nambole National Stadium, where the Minister of Sports presided over groundbreaking. I have learned that even when you are innovating, you do groundbreaking. But I was there, I was invited as the area member of Parliament. Madam Speaker, part of my village, Chireka B, sits on part of the land belonging to Nambole. There are tenants there. And the policy of this government have just said they are going to spend 4 trillion shillings on helping Uganda people. I read that in the newspapers. But it is a pronounced policy that you don't evict people. The matter I am raising is for government to explain what will befall those people who occupy part of the land that belongs to Nambole as tenants, and that is Chireka B, because they are worried construction is going to be done by gun-wielding men. Later I learned that they are from UPDF Engineering Brigade. The first construction I have seen where contractors carry guns all over the place. So, Madam Speaker, it's a very serious matter. We need government to help us know how you are going to resettle these people who are going to be affected by the renovation. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ibrahim, did you say there are tenants or squatters?
Madam Speaker, they have an interest on that land because our law provides for multiple interests. I may not establish, some are tenants, others might be squatters, but there are people who are on land that need to be settled. I may not establish the legal status of each one of them, Madam Speaker.
Because if somebody was a tenant, yesterday we just passed the landlord tenants bill that you can terminate. You can give a notice and it's terminated. But there's a difference between a tenant and a squatter. Government?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague for raising that very important matter. Indeed, it is true. This morning, my colleague, Honorable Jacob Obua, was at
Hamson
Obua was at the groundbreaking ceremony together with him and the rest. That is a big milestone for all of us, and we appreciate you and the members of parliament for that support. And I will really request for the specific issue that he has raised concerning the people who probably might have been displaced, that you give us time to bring on Wednesday, if at all it is true, really evidence so that we can place it here on the table. I thank you.
Who may have been displaced and who are going to be displaced? Because more people are going to be displaced. So we need a report on all of that. How did those people acquire that land? How did they enter into that land? And what is the plan that government has on settling those people? Because they may not have anywhere to go. Much as we want the number to be worked on, we also need those people to be settled somewhere.
Thank you. We will do that on Wednesday.
Because you'll find some people are encroaching. I have known Ugandans, some Ugandans, when they know there's something taking place, they rush very fast and encroach because they want to be compensated.
I'm seeking your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, because this is not the first time a matter of this nature is being raised in Parliament. And there is something called the land fund, for which we appropriate money every year, in every financial year. Currently, as we speak, the Ministry of Lands is in shambles and tatters. When you see the chairperson of the Uganda Land Commission is all over news saying when they failed to evict her, they resorted to witchcraft. There are outstanding questions which have been put across for the Minister for Lands to come here and explain. Since the establishment of the Land Fund, we are appropriating money, but there are no guidelines guiding people on who qualifies to benefit from the Land Fund, which squatter, which lawful or bona fide occupant qualifies to benefit from the Land Fund. There is no policy guiding how the Land Fund is disbursed. I am glad the Prime Minister is in Parliament. May we have is it not procedurally right that we have an explanation from the Prime Minister on how they decide who benefits? You just see people getting billions.
Honorable Medad Segona or Busiro, we may not rush into the land fund issue before determining the ownership. Let's first make analysis of how did these people acquire this land? Who are these people? Are they encroachers? Are they squatters? Are they tenants? Then we will now say the rightful people, the Land Commission, should sort out this. The issue of the Lands Commission is still outstanding. I know you really need answers to that. Honorable Prime Minister, there was an issue that was raised on Land Commission that you may need to inform your minister to come and respond to the issues that were raised by Honorable Segona. However, I also feel those issues, especially on Land Commission, have been overtaken by events because there is a court matter that would amount to sub judice really.
Right, Honorable Speaker, you have told me to inform my minister, most obliged.
Thank you. Honorable Wanda. Two minutes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Wanda Richard, Bungoho Central in Bali. I raise on a matter of national importance. We've got a section of the road from Tororo to Bali, which has become a a death point. The section between Busiu and Umageni barracks. Madam Speaker, we raised this matter at one time, and the minister visited, a report was made, and UNRWA was instructed as a short-term measure to build speed limiting humps such that we do not lose lives. But up to now, nothing has happened. Just to illustrate the magnitude of this matter, on 20th January this year, a fuel tanker crashed and burnt, killing 4 people on the scene, and 2 other people were crushed by other rescuing vehicles. In August 2021, a speeding truck hit and killed 6 people. Madam Speaker, in the same period, another cement carrying truck from Tororo killed 5 members from one family. And just to cut it short, in 2017, Madam Speaker, a cement carrying vehicle killed 22 people in omnibuses. So I bring this matter to this House, Madam Speaker, with this prayer that the Minister of Transport hastily rescues my people by constructing humps on that road. Secondly, the road is under redesign. It is my prayer that they include a flyover on the road that comes from Taleja to Navumali, as that is the biggest spot of the accidents. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Government Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the Honorable Member for raising the matter about the nature of the road between Tororo and Mbale, and we condole with the families that have lost their dear ones. I will relay information to the Minister responsible for Works and Transport to come and brief this House on the plans to rehabilitate that section of the road.
Thank you. I want to thank the Honorable Chris Barriomos for giving way. As he informs the minister or instructs the minister, since he is the whip, I have received information that there is a presidential directive barring the construction of humps on highways. Number 2, before the Honorable Semiju agrees with him, is that Karamoja and Mbale, sure, if you're getting the raw materials from Karamoja, what stops you from putting the factory in Karamoja? And this is how we have failed to develop the country equitably. If people are dying, and you're not going to put humps on the roads to reduce speed, how else do you want the minister to help? But the information is that there is a standing instruction not to put, not that you're not aware, but that bars the construction of humps on highways, just in case you missed cabinet on that day.
It is not just the instruction, it is on the Road Safety Act that humps should not be on the highway. And there could be a problem that is talking about the problem of a road that maybe the minister needs to go and check, the Minister of Works.
Thank you very much for the information, also the guidance from the speaker. Like I had said, I will relay this information to the minister responsible for works and transport, who should be able to dispatch a technical team to assess that section of the road and satisfy himself with why there are those accidents, and he will report to the House at the earliest and tell us what the ministry is planning to do to address that challenge. I think on the issue of the harms, just like the speaker guided, I think the guidance also is to do with the size of the harms, which can be a problem.
And actually, what the problem with that road is, it's so narrow. The road is very narrow, and maybe in the next design, they have to expand the road, because there is a contractor that has been given to that road. The contractor is supposed to work on the road from Tororo to Lira. And as we've agreed, you give instructions to the minister to that effect, and then the road should be handled. Honorable Tim Cecilia Gwal.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance, and I would like you, if you would allow me, to read a couple of names in the process of my submission. Right Honorable Speaker, since 2010, Ugandans traded with Sudan, and it was recognized by governments on both sides that Ugandan traders actually supplied goods to Sudan which were not paid for. Right Honorable Speaker, there has been so many discussions in this house, outside this house, in State House, regarding the payment of Uganda-Sudan traders. An agreement was struck. An agreement was struck. Can I make a then
Honorable Sailo.
An agreement was struck.
You wait for Honorable to finish, then you give your clarification.
I'll give you time. And a memorandum of understanding was signed between Uganda government and the Sudan government. And right, Honorable Speaker, it is true that the Sudan government have been generous enough to agree that Uganda government can pay the traders as a loan to the Sudan government. This matter has been discussed over and over, but for those of you who are new, you can read the answer and get the details of what was discussed in the various meetings held in this parliament. Right, Honorable Speaker, my concern, Right, Honorable Speaker, if you could ask the technicians to give me time, because we can't take a decision unless I give you information. Right, Honorable Speaker, my concern is that the Sudan government agreed to release two disbursements. The first one was $15 million, and that one followed a delegation that was led by General Otafire to Sudan, and it was followed by release of $15 million. The second one was $41 million. Right, Honorable Speaker, my concern and your concern and the concern of the people of Uganda is that whereas His Excellency the President in a letter addressed the Minister of Finance, directed the Minister of Finance to pay the Sudan traders, and also went further to say if they are not paid, they will be facing financial disaster. Indeed, Parliament was able to learn that there were some traders, particularly from Acholi and Lango, who were actually sleeping in the bus park because they had lost prime properties as a result of the loan they had mortgaged to the banks. And those details are there on our records. Right, Honorable Speaker, I wanted to read this list. When the president directed that people be paid, these are the people who received the payment. Allow me to read, Right, Honorable Speaker. Rubia Investors Limited, Kibingo Enterprises, Kibingo, they were paid. So if I read twice, it means they were paid twice. Oh, you want me to give you the amount? Yes. If I want to read the amount, it may take a bit of time, if you don't mind. Okay, fine. Rubia Investors Limited received the 26% agreed on, $865.9 US. Kibingo Enterprises received $577.3 US. Kibingo Enterprises received $1.4 million. Then comes to Aponye Uganda Limited. Aponye 3 times. I'll read the figures also 3 times. Aponye the first time received 1.5 million, then 720,000, then 288,000. Then Afro Akai received 288. Shiftcom East Limited received 288.6. Then Aponye again received 249.9, 249,900,000. Sophia Omari received $285,000. Aponye again received 57,730. Aponye again received $721,000. Apo General Agencies received 1,151,000. Afro Akai
Procedure.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Cecilia, for giving me. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Cecilia is giving us is good information, but we are not proceeding well because as she's mentioning the names of the other companies which received the cash, she's not naming the directors of those companies because at the end of the day, the majority of the directors and these ministers seated here. Because I remember that time I was on a committee of trade. And the majority and shareholders and directors of those companies were ministers who are, some of them are seated here. Even Bahati was one of them who was owning those companies. So are we proceeding well when the Honorable Cecilia is not giving us facts about the directors of the company? Because you might end up even Cecilia having a company which did not even receive cash.
Honorable members, the issue of South Sudan payment was a hot issue in the 10th Parliament. We agreed that we get money to have these people paid. An agreement was reached upon by South Sudan and Uganda on the payment. The House made an amendment to add other people. Originally, there was a list of people who were supposed to be paid the $40 million. I think it was 40. There was that list. However, there was an adjustment that was made and approved by this House. That adjustment was bound to be approved by the Parliament of South Sudan and government of South Sudan. So what we need to find out, was it approved? How far have you gone with the payment of the people who have not yet gotten the money?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I make my prayers, then we'll ask members to access the decision of Parliament as passed in the motion dated 18th of March 2018. Because the 23 companies which were verified by Sudan, verified by URA, were directed to be paid. Up to now, these companies have remained unpaid. And the 10 companies, the leader, of course, is Aponye and others. Up to now, yes, I'm going to give, up to now, those people have not been paid. I mean, the 10 have been paid, but the 23, the villagers like me, have not been paid. And we have also come to realize that the people who have been paid, the 10 companies who have been paid, are multi-billionaires who have big powers behind them, and you can investigate them. So my concern is, Right Honorable Speaker, I don't mind whether anybody has got money, whether Mrs. Ogwala has got money or anybody. But all we want is, can those villagers of ours who supplied maize to Sudan and who were supposed to be paid by Sudan government and by Uganda government, can this Parliament ensure that these people are paid because they spend their money and their properties have been sold? Some of them have been to State House. One particular incident of an actually woman who was raped by Sudanese soldiers. The woman lost everything, lost her properties, lost her vehicles. They to State House. And up to now, the lady has not been paid. So many of our traders from Lango, they keep knocking at my doors. They have not been paid. So, Right Honorable Speaker, regardless of who is involved, my prayer is that those 23 companies and others must be paid, because that decision was taken. Sudan government has allowed us, Uganda government, to use that money for paying our people. Therefore, it is important that these people be paid. Yes, I give you a chance.
Honorable Minister, Salas, you have something?
Procedure.
Thank you so much.
Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker. When I die, I should be remembered for one thing called fairness. The Honorable Peter Mugema, otherwise known as Panado, has come here on the floor of the House and stated that the beneficiaries are ministers seated here. He specifically mentioned the name of my brother, the Honorable David Bahati. He did not substantiate, and neither did the Honorable Mrs. Cecilia Tim of Barbara give us the particulars of directors of those people, which companies she mentioned. And to me, it's marks of unfairness that a name of our very own could be mentioned, and he's not given a chance to defend himself. And fairness is not a right in personam, it is a right in rem. I'm on a point of, okay.
It's on procedure.
Yes, it's a right in rem.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Sekona, one of my counsels in many cases when this government has taken me to court. Knows that the Honorable David Bahati is a member of Parliament with the right to use the relevant rules of procedure, because sometimes people are guilty, so they may choose to keep quiet. So is the Honorable Sekona in order to force the Honorable Bahati to say something? Is he in order?
But members, honorable members, I participated in this debate of the additional 23 people, I mean companies. And the 10 who were approved, the 10 who were approved, the 40 million, the 40, I personally witnessed for the 10. Now, for us to start naming, what we need to find out from the Minister of Finance, how far have we gone with the 23? Aponye being a Muchiga does not mean, and Bahati being a Muchiga does not mean that Bahati is Aponye. And if there is any relationship, is there any law that stops Bahati from doing business? Let's be fair to ourselves. What was approved was for the 10, fine, they have been paid. What have you done for the 23? Minister, what have you done for the 23?
Madam Speaker, if you allow, the problem would be that the Honorable Bahati was the Minister for Finance. So if he chose to pay himself, and I'm not saying this because I have information, but the problem would be if the information supplied here is correct, that we passed money and he went to serve himself. That would be the problem. But I have no evidence that Honorable Bahati paid any of the companies where he belongs.
We all don't have evidence. That's why I'm saying we must have evidence to that effect. Let the man defend himself.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, now that my friend Honorable, I had not actually heard that he mentioned my name. So I would have, it was a little bit, I think, malicious. Colleagues, I do not have any company that's in this agreement that supplied South Sudan that was paid whatsoever. And I would really want the Honorable Panado to bring evidence here on the floor or withdraw my name from this now. So, Madam Speaker, he either brings the information here or he withdraws so that the record is put clear. Thank you.
Silas was on the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I was trying to seek for clarification from Honorable Cecilia Gual. You know, this house is a house of record and is a house of reference. Because in the future, when somebody wants to use information of the answer recorded on the 2nd day of February 2022, they will read exactly what was said. And the Honorable colleague has continuously referred to Sudan. And I'm quite aware that Africa has two Sudans. There is South Sudan and there is Sudan. And legally, if you insist on Sudan, Sudan is Sudan. If you are talking about South Sudan, it is South Sudan. There is Juba, there is Khartoum. So I wanted to find out from Honorable Cecilia, which is Sudan did you mean? Oh, which one do you mean for purpose of the record, proper record of the answer? Because it has a legal meaning. Usually when you are driving and somebody stops you, take time and stop. There could be a pothole which is bad ahead of you. Thank you.
The country that we are referring is South Sudan. The companies, the first 10 companies that were approved for payment, we have Rubia Investments, Chibingo Enterprise, Aponya Uganda, Afro, Shift Commodities, Sunrise Commodities, Sophie Omari, Apo General Agencies, Ropani International, KK Transporters. Those were the first 10 that have been paid. However, this House passed a resolution and included another 23. That gives you a list of 33. We had we have the documents on file. So I first, let's make it. Then we hear from the minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I thank you. You have read the first 10, any part of the others. And the right Honorable Speaker, the clarification probably that I need to get from Honorable Bahati, who was Minister of Finance by then, because in March 2020, we got a statement on the floor of this Parliament. And the indication was that there was a first installment of $15 million, which was deposited by the government of South Sudan. And out of the agreement, government of Uganda paid another $10.8 million. So this brought the total payment to $25.8 million out of the $56.4 billion. So my clarification is...
Correction, please. Right, Honorable Speaker, I said 15 million was paid first, and the second payment was $41 million, not 10, 41.
That gives you 56.
Yes.
That gives you 56.
Yeah, that's 56.
That's
the
mathematics.
That's the total areas by then. So $25 million has so far been paid out of the $56.4 million. If we are to go by the statement produced by the minister in March on the floor of this Parliament, and so my clarification that so the $25 million went to the 10 people and these other 30. Is that the case? Thank you very much.
Maybe we need to get information from the minister. We are really debating in anticipation. Let's hear from the minister. Let him tell us what is happening.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, the issue of claims from our people on South Sudan government is not new to some of us who were in the previous Parliament. Madam Speaker, it is true the total claim for the 10 companies which you have just mentioned was $56 million. And 15 was paid in the arrangement Honorable Cecilia is talking about. And thereafter, another arrangement which was approved by this House was arrived at of the $41 million. We've been paying this money in installments. And Madam Speaker, I wish to inform this House that to date, we have paid a total of $29 million. There is still a balance of $12 million to be paid. Yes, sir.
You said you paid how much?
$29 million.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the minister stated that they have been paying. I would like to seek clarification from him. If you could bring the list of those companies that you have already paid to the August House. And also, Right Honourable Speaker, I remember the associations of those who lost their properties from northern Uganda. Now, and actually specifically, they met His Excellency the President, and the President gave the directives. And from the list that we are seeing, no any other company from Acholi, all now is on the list. All the list of those who have been played are those who are coming from this side of the country. Right, Honorable Speaker, we need fairness in this country. We need fairness. The Acholi people are buried in South Sudan, the Langi, they lost properties and properties. But when it comes to payment, you are so selective, you are not fair at all for this country. We need fairness.
Order, order, order.
Honorable members,
Order.
when you start tribalizing these things,
Point of order.
when you start tribalizing these things, Honorable Minister, I want the people to be paid, irrespective of where they come from.
That's what I'm explaining.
Can we, first of all, can you come and lay on table the list of the people who have been paid and how much has been paid? Lay on table and lay on table the list of people to be paid next.
Madam Speaker, I will confirm the list as you have read, because the list is not different from what you have read.
No, this one is, Cecilia went on a fishing expedition.
Point of
For me,
order.
I want your list tomorrow, laid on table.
Right, Honorable Order. Right, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Cecilia T. Mogwal's concern is a matter to do with equity in this country. It is true that we did amend and eventually approve the list. The member's question is, how come some people, some companies were paid 3 times? There are those whose property is being taken over by banks because they are waiting forever to be paid. By the minister not answering the question of equity, first, he's not solving anything. And that's why you see the tribal tones coming in. I don't want to talk about the Uganda companies which did not benefit because it would accelerate the same debate. May the minister save us the trouble by putting the name and the criteria used in determining before you pay somebody a second time. And there are others that have not received the coin. What criteria did you use? Is he in order, therefore, in not telling this parliament the procedure and the criteria, even before he brings the list?
Honorable Sebona, the 41 million that was agreed to be paid out was tagged. And I'm saying it was tagged, ring-fenced to 10 companies. Can you bring that agreement? Because I have a copy. Bring that agreement of where it was ring-fenced to those 10 companies.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for your guidance. I undertake to bring all this information to the House tomorrow.
Bring the 23 and an explanation as to why you have not paid them. Because we made a provision in this parliament for payment of those 23 companies.
Speaker.
There is a lady who came to my office crying. The woman is from Gulu. Her house has been sold. Her business has been closed. She was thrown out of the house. So we need to see how we can help these poor Ugandans. They were trying to earn a living, but kind of we are trying to frustrate them. Honorable Bahati, it seems you have more information because you're interrupting my member. Can we have that information? When do we pay the 23?
Right, Honorable Speaker, maybe...
I am still asking a question. When do we pay the 23?
The 23.
Madam Speaker, can I respond in writing tomorrow? I needed to bring to this House a detailed statement.
And a way forward, yes.
And also the way forward.
Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Parliament passed a resolution and Parliament directed the government on what to do. concerning the 23. That was across. I met so many traders from Bunyoro. They were not from Langor, actually. And they were equally concerned.
Honorable Cecilia.
So, right, Honorable Speaker, there is a
Honorable Cecilia, I think age is catching up. We have said it tomorrow. So you'll be here tomorrow. Receive the list of 23. What is the way forward? If it means passing a supplementary for those people, we do it. The powers are on us. We must make those people get what they are supposed to get.
My surprise is we even passed a supplementary for the 23. So what happened to the money? We even passed a supplementary, and the Minister Bahati knows.
Order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Cecilia is one of the members of Parliament I respect so much in this House, and I look up to. And she understands the rules of this House very perfectly well, having been here for a very long time. Is she therefore in order to continue bringing and arguing and talking when you have already made a ruling as the presiding officer of this Parliament?
I always tell my mama that I sympathize with my old man. She likes quarreling a lot. Honorable Panado, would you want to substantiate your issue of saying that, Honorable Bahati, and if you cannot substantiate, then you expurge it from the
Right, Honorable
Speaker. You withdraw.
Right, Honorable Speaker. It is on record that the minister said it in himself that he did not even hear it. And the second, I was on the committee of trade. I don't need to substantiate it. If I can be given also time, I can prove if we bring company by company and its directors. Because it is also not bad for you to do business. You think you eat from only the ministry, you don't do business outside this.
So, Honorable Bahati, let him bring for us evidence tomorrow. If he cannot bring evidence, then he will have to withdraw it.
Fine, let me be given a
Madam
chance.
Speaker.
I have said, let him bring the evidence.
Okay.
Lukwago John Paul.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Raising under Rule 49(1) of our rules, and with grave concern, I wish to bring to the attention of this House a life-threatening situation evolving in Jotera district. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 1st of December 2021, the district's internal security officer reported 14 deaths that had happened at Chijonjo village, Kasasa sub-county, Jotera district. As of today, 15 people have died, and it's purported the symptoms are the same. What is so threatening is that the locals are currently resenting going to hospitals, claiming that whoever goes to hospital dies. Very unfortunate that there has been no formal statement from the Ministry of Health. Well aware of what happened in the early 1980s, still in Jotera and Rakai, when the AIDS scourge was starting to ravage this country, it's very concerning to all Ugandans. My prayer, therefore, Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, is for the Minister of Health to make a statement to this House over what exactly is happening, and if there is anything they've done to avert the situation in Jotera. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Minister of Health. They will come with a report. Government Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I thank the Honorable Member for raising that matter, which is very urgent because it involves death of Ugandans. And we send condolences to the families. I will undertake to raise this matter with the Minister of Health. And maybe give her time between now and Tuesday. If they haven't got sufficient details, send a team on the ground, and on Tuesday, the minister should be able to give us a report of what has been done and what the problem could be. If it's a new disease or something else, on Tuesday, the Minister of Health will come and give us a report on what she has done and what the problem is.
Thank you. The Minister of Health will be in your constituency to assess the impact and the technical people, and then report on the action that has been taken. Sean Patrick, briefly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I rise on an urgent matter of national importance regarding the state of insecurity in Apache municipality. Madam Speaker, within the last 10 days, we have lost 3 people under unclear circumstances. But from a similar occurrence, on Wednesday, 19th January 2022, a 30-year-old Michael Achot, a resident of Barawelosel, Awir Ward, Agulu Division of Apache municipality, left his home briefly and was waylaid by unknown assailants and killed him. Madam Speaker, the second incident was after 5 days when a 28-year-old businessman by the names Innocent Anyeme also left his home briefly by about 9 p.m. and was waylaid on Apache Lira Highway at Akar village, Olilewad, within Apache municipality. He was left with deep cuts all over his body. He was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead the following day. The last incident, Madam Speaker, was on Monday 31st, when one, Joy Lokelo, was attacked again within the same spot and killed instantly. Madam Speaker, the body was cut and packed in a polythene paper and dumped within the deceased home. The situation is not good in Apache. It has caused a lot of anxiety to the community. People are in nervousness. People are worried, Madam Speaker, and the trend is very consistent. My prayers are, 1, that the minister in charge of security and that of internal affairs should intervene urgently and treat this matter as urgent, and we need a report to this effect. 2, we need a speedy investigation into this matter so that the perpetrators could be brought forward to face the due process of the law. 3, Madam Speaker, the families of the deceased should be compensated by government. Thank you.
Compensation has become compensation. Government Chief Whip, Internal Affairs.
Much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I thank the Honorable Member for raising this matter in Parliament. But also as a person who has been in this Parliament for some time, even when before Parliament convenes, it's also good to directly raise it with the minister, because matters which involve death and would require quick responses. That's good you have raised it in the floor of Parliament. Unfortunately, the Minister for Internal Affairs and the one of Security are not in the House. They're not in the House. So I will inform the Minister for Internal Affairs and take this matter as a matter of urgency. And also, you should link with the Member of Parliament, find out the details and intervene,
Yes,
but also report back to Parliament.
Madam Speaker, we have the two deputy prime ministers seated in front of us, but I have seen Honorable Chris, a minister, taking over the job of the prime minister and lead of government business. I wonder under what rule and under what procedure we are operating, and who has granted him the authority, whether he is the president and whether you have that instrument.
He's a government chief whip.
But Madam Speaker, even in the presence of the government chief whip, the prime minister takes lead. He reports to the prime minister under our rules.
Honorable members, Minister of Internal Affairs will make a follow-up on that and give a feedback to this House on what is happening. We don't want the massacre issue to move the other side. So the earlier we arrest the issue, the better. The Mugisa, then we get the report from PAC. Those remaining will bring their issues tomorrow.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it's not good for Honorable Kanya to challenge the Right Honorable Speaker when you appoint somebody to answer.
You know, Honorable Kanya had gone on leave for one term, so maybe he had forgotten the rules. Honorable Mugisa? Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, last week, I came here to this parliament and raised the issue of the police officer who was shot and who was in hospital and who lost a leg. And the government chief whip committed that he will come to parliament on Tuesday, which was yesterday, Right, Honorable Speaker, and give parliament a report, and is on record, Right, Honorable Speaker.
I am surprised that the commissioner is now losing memory. The government chief whip talked of 2 weeks, and I approved the 2 weeks.
Much obliged, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. For record purposes, I'm Mary Begumisa, Woman Member of Parliament, Sembabule District. I'm rising on an issue of a national concern about our children, school-going children who are pregnant. I'm well aware of Article 34 of the Constitution of this country and Clause 3 of the same article, which says, no child shall be deprived by any person of medical treatment, education, or any other social or economic benefit by reason of religious or other benefit.
Honorable Pastor, it's unfortunate you're not in yesterday, but there is a motion to that effect. So what you'll do is to debate to that motion. I know how you're passionate about the girl child, but wait and debate on the motion. There is a motion, it's item number 6.
Much obliged.
Thank you. Next item. You have something to say?
Madam Speaker, this is as requested about the traffic of cargo at Maraba and Busia, which was raised by the Honorable Macho. The situation at Maraba, as we speak, is normal. The vehicles are moving as normal. All the issues which were there have been resolved. According to our customs a few minutes ago, all the issues which have been there have been resolved, and the traffic is moving as normal at Busia and Maraba. I want to thank the. You have any information?
Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable David Bahati, the Minister of Trade. Whereas Honorable Bahati statement has some degree of accuracy. The situation in Malaba and Busia is a situation that cannot be handled just by statement, because the custom entry points of Malaba and Busia were built in the 1960s for a capacity of 200 trucks in a week. It has one entry, one exit. Madam Speaker, as we speak now, Uganda cargo transits across Malaba is 200 dwellers a day, 200, and might be more or less. The record is there, but average of 200 a day in Busia and Malaba. So, and you have one desk of Revenue Authority, one desk of Immigration to handle. You have one cargo scanning system. One cargo scanning system. So the minister, I stated here last week that the two heads of state engaged each other when the cargo on the Toro side was in Pusitema. The other side was the same kilometer. In fact, Madam Speaker, if you are traveling to Kenya, or there's a Kenyan guest traveling, and there's emergency, even in case of fire, there is no way of evacuating. Those trailers are carrying fuel, which is very dangerous, and other goods. Uganda Revenue Authority and we
Honorable Kanya, we still have a debate on the share. I wish you could reserve the energy for that. Hmm? And of course, when you say that the situation is now normal, how come fuel prices are still high? Those are questions you will answer when it comes to the fuel issue.
But I just wanted to make it clear, Madam Speaker, that the question which was asked by the Honorable Macho was that the situation was 3 weeks ago with the backlog. And I'm informing Parliament that that has been now resolved. Going forward to accommodate the future demands of this border is a debate that Honorable Kanya is referring to. But as we speak right now, today, the situation of the traffic jam, the jam of the cargo is cleared. I thank you.
Yes, procedure.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you. Our rules of procedure clearly stipulate that a minister it was yesterday when the minister undertook to come with a statement today. And indeed he's making a statement that the rules dictate that such a statement must be in written form and uploaded. And that is Rule 52, sub-rule 3. And the word is shall. Madam Speaker, are we proceeding well with the minister just coming here to give a verbal interaction?
Honorable Minister, come with a written statement, not a casual one. Next item, and you come with it tomorrow. Next item, item 5.
Item number 5, motion for adoption of the report of the Joint Committee on Public Accounts, Central Government and Local Governments on the exercise to verify the list of beneficiaries of COVID-19 relief funds.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Local Government and Central. Honorable Secretary, you may need to stand up because the microphone is high.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have had the trouble of borrowing a sanitizer from the other side. And I am told that the Honorable Musasizi is a very kind man in supplying the same. As to standing up, yes, I undertake. However, the leadership of Parliament must equally provide facilities that are flexible and friendly. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the two committees of Park and Central and Park local government were assigned with the responsibility of investigating and informing Parliament in accordance with the terms of reference issued by your office with respect to the list of beneficiaries of the COVID-19 relief funds. The committee did proceed, but before I proceed with the report and motion, permit me, in accordance with the rules, to lay on table both the minutes of our proceedings as well as the annexure that were recovered and relied on in the course of our proceedings. I beg to lay on table.
Yes, do. Thank you.
Right, Honourable Speaker, this report is a lengthy one that has guided earlier, and because it has been uploaded and read by colleagues, I would like to summarize it. One, with an introduction, which runs from page 1 to 2. The second is we discussed and observed the social protection in Uganda. And I wish to read that one because of the importance. At page 2, and that is section 2. Social protection is fast becoming embraced as a strategy by most governments world over, ensuring an egalitarian society. In Uganda, social protection system is comprised in 2 pillars: social security and social care and support services. It is an important policy decision as it protects the vulnerable against livelihood risks and is in enhancing the social status and rights of the marginalized with the overall objective of reducing economic and social vulnerability of the poor, hence reinforcing the state-citizen contract for a more cohesive society. Uganda launched the National Social Protection Policy in the year 2015 with the objective of guaranteeing for every Ugandan social protection in the circumstance that they are faced with risks and vulnerabilities which would render them unable to meet their basic needs, such as food, housing, medical care, among others. The response by government, therefore, to cushion Ugandans against the harsh impacts of the lockdown through providing a cash relief fund was a well-motivated response that ordinarily should have been encouraged. The need for other support mechanisms to be extended to tax reductions, waivers, and deadline delays in certain tax payments and compliance obligations to ensure taxpayers and especially businesses preserve their cash flow and organize their tax and other business affairs in these very trying economic times cannot be overemphasized. Beneficiaries identification, registration, and validation. In a circular to the Executive Director, KCCA, and all town clerks of cities and municipalities dated 30th June 2021, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development communicated a cabinet proposal to transfer cash to vulnerable persons in Kampala metropolitan area and all cities and municipalities who depended on daily income and had their livelihoods disrupted as a result of the lockdown. The approved categories included the following: bus, truck, taxi drivers, conductors,
baggage carriers, wheelbarrow pushers, touts, traffic guides, and leaders in taxi, bus parks, and stages in other major commercial centers such as Chikuwo. Barmen, DJs, barmaids, waiters, and bouncers, bar, gym, and restaurant workers, food vendors, and bus/taxi parks and arcades, artists, musicians, and comedians, etc. Border riders, special hire drivers, and other and Uber drivers, saloon, massage parlor workers, teachers and support staff in private schools, and teachers in government schools who are not on government payroll, car washers, slum dwellers, ghetto residents, and street and food vendors, shoe shiners, and cobblers. The circular instructed them to compile a list of vulnerable persons within the urban areas with the technical support of UBOS, NITA-U, and NIRA using their existing administrative records. Those who qualified to be registered and in possession of NIN numbers but had no telephone numbers were supposed to be paid through the post bank upon presentation of their national IDs and NIN slips. The circular further instructed town clerks to display the lists generated in public places within urban areas for purposes of upholding and verification. This was to be supervised by the ward administrators with the support of village health teams. The terms of reference, Right Honorable Speaker, are stated at page 5 to 6. Methodology. The methodology adopted to accomplish the aforementioned terms of reference, the committee met with the minister responsible for gender, labor, and social development in her capacity, but also representing the Right Honorable Prime Minister. The committee further met with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Minister of Internal Affairs, the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, the Minister for Kampala, the Lord Mayor and Division Mayors of Kampala, Resident City Commissioner, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, Post Bank Limited, MTN Limited, and Airtel Communication Companies. We met with town clerks, city municipal mayors, the RCC, RDC, and other stakeholders in the following locations: Soroti City, Mbale City, Arua City, Gulu, Lira, Fort Portal City, Hoima City, Marara City, and Masaka City, Tororo Municipality, Masindi Municipality, Ntungamo Municipality, Kumi Municipality, and Kitgum Municipality. The committee also carried out on-spot visits and verification at a number of border stages, taxis, parks, street vendors, and special hire operators to try and ascertain the terms of reference. Analyzed the documents submitted by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the town clerks, and municipality stroke cities, KCC, Lord Mayor, and other stakeholders that the committee interacted with. The committee also carried out random telephone calls, which were made to selected beneficiaries from the list provided by the Right Honorable Prime Minister. Whereas the committee was desirous of visiting all cities and municipalities that received the COVID-19 relief fund, it could only afford to visit the selected few due to time and budgetary constraints. Observations. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the committee was informed by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development approved COVID-19 emergency fund amounting to 53.5 billion to cover all 501,107 targeted beneficiaries. Out of these numbers, a total of 2.854 billion was spent on administrative costs, and 50.6 billion was transferred to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development account in Post Bank to facilitate the direct transfers to the chosen beneficiaries. During the meeting with the committee, Post Bank informed the committee or the meeting that the bank had since received 488,272 total transaction instructions from the Ministry of Gender and successfully processed 487,307. Payments had since closed according to the Ministry of Gender, with a balance of about 1.43 billion lying on its account. Term of reference number 1 was to establish who compiled the list of beneficiaries in the different locations. The committee observes that the COVID-19 and its resultant effects, as occasioned by the lockdown, needed to be treated as a disaster, and therefore it was wrong for the government to involve the Ministry of Disaster, not to involve the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness and the Refugee Management in its response, given its rich expertise in personnel and structures down to the local government. Although the town clerks were supposed to be in charge of the compilation of the list of beneficiaries as stipulated in the guidelines, the committee noted that this was done mostly through delegation. In Soroti, Arua, Hoima, Mara, and Fort Portal cities, for example, the town clerks were newly posted and therefore delegated to their deputies to undertake their exercise. This was, however, done with little, if any, supervision. The committee observed that the delegation of this responsibility without sufficient supervision made the exercise susceptible to abuse, as the data collected by those delegated were greatly manipulated. Many would-be beneficiaries were left out, especially private school teachers and restaurant workers, as the committee found out in almost all locations visited. In Fort Portal City, the deputy town clerk monopolized the whole exercise. In Arua, of the data entry clerks and that carried out the exercise were volunteers, stroke interns who took advantage and registered themselves and other persons in the different categories. The committee discovered that in Gulu City, the local leaders, stroke politicians, such as councillors, that were meant to supervise and provide oversight, took over and abused the process by registering their relatives and themselves as beneficiaries. In situations where the local councils rendered support through identification and registration of beneficiaries, these lists were put aside during data entry and replaced with other beneficiaries. The committee interrogated further. When the committee interrogated further, it was discovered that over 10 councillors, the speaker, and former LC3 chairperson of Laibi division, for example, registered and benefited from the fund. Arua City and Kitgum municipality had almost similar cases of abuse of the process by administrators. In Mbale, some city council staff were registered and benefited. The Lord Mayor, Kampala Capital City Authority, revealed to the committee that in Kampala, the DSOs abused the process by registering beneficiaries along party lines. The committee further noted that in some cases, the compilation of the list was left to chairpersons of associations of the different trade categories in total disregard of the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, instructing that the compilation be carried out using existing administrative records. In Tororo municipality, for example, the chairpersons of different trade categories took advantage of this loophole by registering beneficiaries along political party and social relation lines. There were also allegations of extortion by the chairperson of the Border Association in Tororo municipality, who was alleged to have been asking beneficiaries to part with 15,000 to be registered. Relatedly, in Fort Portal City, some town agents were also accused of asking for between 30 to 40,000 before one is registered, or their national ID would be retained till the money is cleared. Recommendation: the committee recommends that the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, holds accountable all town clerks who negated on their roles and responsibilities during this exercise by delegating their functions without proper supervision, as this amounted to neglect of duty. Additionally, all officers responsible for the abuse of this exercise by registering themselves in disregard of the vulnerable be reprimanded. Recommendation number 2. The committee further recommends that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should ensure that administrative records like tax registers in all cities and municipalities, as well as other administrative units, are updated by registering all formal and informal businesses. This would ease identification and verification of beneficiaries of such an exercise in the future. Term of reference number 2 was to ascertain the criteria used to select and identify the beneficiaries. According to the National Social Protection Policy 2005, vulnerability is defined as limited ability to manage risks or cope with shocks that may lead to undignified lives. While appearing before the committee, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development submitted that the Cabinet defined the vulnerable in the context of the lockdown to mean those who were engaged in employment at the time of COVID-19 lockdown and depended on daily earnings which were disrupted. The committee notes that there was no standard selection formula used in selecting beneficiaries in the targeted areas. In most of the cities and municipalities, the principle first come, first serve was applied. As a result of this, many categories of would-be beneficiaries were left out, and those who benefited not equitably distributed amongst the categories. For example, many people benefited under the border category than food vendors, saloonists, and car washers. In Bali, the committee noted that the number of support staff who benefited in private schools was more than the teachers in those schools, which is not logical. In Tororo, a total number of 14,002 slum residents benefited, representing 37% of the entire threshold, as compared to paltry 3 vehicle loaders. In Soroti, the committee interacted with Mr. Puanya Babu Saleh, chairperson of the Teso Coach Stage, who intimated that out of the 75 members he registered, none of them received relief. Meanwhile, his counterpart, Mr. Babu Mugisha, the Gateway Bus Company chairperson, revealed that out of the 56 members he registered, 48 benefited. In Fort Porto, at Kampala Chenjojo taxi stage, 60 members were registered, and on Kampala Road border stage, 132 members were registered, but none of them received relief. These inequities meant that certain categories benefited more to the disadvantage of others. Suffice to note that the government was able to set thresholds for beneficiaries in all the cities, municipalities, but did not consider setting out a workable formula for those to equitably share the quotas. The committee noted that for success to be achieved in Lira City, identification was done based on the area of operation, business location for each category. Leadership structures for each category also supported the registration and verification process. Consequently, internal structures were put in place where the compiled lists were first submitted to the DSO's office, and both physical verification and phone call verification was done to ascertain authenticity of the submitted lists. Once approved, the list would be submitted back to the town clerk for data entry. Other cities and municipalities did not fully verify their lists. Cognizant of the directive of the ministry to display the lists generated in public places within urban areas for purposes of updating and verification, with supervision and ward administrators and support of village health teams. The committee noted that across all the cities and municipalities, this directive was defied. This was attributed to limited time, technicalities in the online systems, bulk and sensitivity of information. In the committee's view, the display was avoided as it would expose the irregularities and abuse of the process. Nonetheless, if a display was to be done, raw data would have been the one to be displayed as and when the lists would come through. The committee recommends, therefore, that the Ministry of Local Government should, in liaison with UBOS, support local government administrative units to set up more robust database for future use. 2, in future, if such an activity reoccurs, the Ministry of Local Government should ensure that town clerks strictly adhere to the set guidelines. Term of reference number 3 was to verify the list of people who received the money. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the observations here are contained at pages 12 to 13, and I would wish to proceed direct to the recommendation following the observations. The committee recommended that the Ministry of Gender, Labour recommends that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should consider giving relief to residents of Aivu Division and Northern Division of Arua and Fort Portal cities, respectively. Right Honorable Speaker, this flows from the observations that there were no benefits to them. Time of reference number 4, to verify and establish whether the intended beneficiaries benefited actually received the money. As noted earlier, in most locations visited by the committee, this exercise was marred by irregular officials who were assigned the responsibility to carry out the exercise negated on their duties. There was also poor coordination between the officers responsible and the grassroots structures such as DSOs, RCC/RDCs, LC1 in town agents in supervision and verification of the beneficiaries, which led to abuse of the process. Whereas in Masaka and Lira cities, the RCC actively participated in the exercise. In Tungamo municipality and in Mbarara city, the elected leaders were not involved at all. In Mbale city, the office of RCC was denied the opportunity to verify the beneficiaries by the office of the town clerk. And as such, by about 1,500 persons were verified out of the over 9,000 that benefited. In Arua city, the RCC and mayor only got to receive a report on the exercise while meeting the committee. There was no structural framework involving all leaders to ensure a coordinated execution, and this led to people who were not intended to benefit taking part of the fund. It is worth noting that a few random telephone calls made by the committee to the beneficiaries revealed that some persons did not receive payments, whereas their names are captured as having received relief and in the list provided. The committee could not, however, establish the accuracy of such assertions, as the payments were made privately through their phones, and they could have deleted the confirmation messages. One Sawankam Bashir in Bale, captured in the list as paid under the bus/taxi conductor category, denied having received the money when the committee called him. One lawyer Geoffrey from Gulu, purported to have been the first beneficiary of the relief fund under the border category, could not be traced. When the committee consulted the border association in the Gulu, they denied him being a member and alleged that the lawyer in question is in fact a builder. While interacting with the committee, the Gulu city officials informed the meeting that their efforts to reach out to a lawyer were futile. The committee noted that not all persons registered received money due to various reasons, such as disparities in the names registered vis-a-vis those that appear in their name. Using one's name to register many telephone numbers and incomplete information, among others. The committee further noted that there was an option in the guidelines to pay persons who qualified and were in possession of NIN, but had no telephone through the bank post. However, many would-be beneficiaries with these cases were ignored and replaced, hence leaving out a big number. Recommendation. 1, that the Ministry of Gender considers verifying and giving relief to the vulnerable who had already been identified within the quota range, but were left out due to errors in the information. This should be done before the end of October 2021. In future, systems designed for this kind of exercise should cater for vulnerable persons without phones and persons with disability. Term of reference number 5 was how much money the beneficiaries received. We have indicated the figures, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, and the committee recommends that should such an intervention be necessary in the future, the rates should be based on the current cost of living. We did observe before the term of reference, before the recommendation, how we arrive at that conclusion. Term of reference number 6, Right Honorable Speaker, to establish the roles played by the different stakeholders. We have examined the same at page 17 and came to the conclusion that the committee recommends that should such an exercise be necessary in the future, elected leaders should be involved from the onset to give it ownership. The committee encourages elected leaders to perform their oversight roles and mandate on all projects in their jurisdictions, whether invited to do so or not. This will promote an accountable and transparent society. Term of reference number 7. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, this was to deal with any other matter incidental to and connected with the above, food handouts versus cash payments. The committee noted that in a similar effort to ease the effects of the pandemic in the first lockdown, government provided food handouts to the vulnerable. It was therefore prudent for the committee to find out whether the decision by government to give out cash relief as opposed to food items was a better choice. There was an overwhelming preference for cash relief in most of the locations the committee visited, with the justification that it preserves the dignity. It preserves the dignity of the vulnerable, eliminates middlemen, and enables consumer choice. The committee recommends that going forward, government should address the challenges identified with giving out cash relief, should it consider such an intervention necessary. Facilitation for data entry clerks. The committee noted that government provided 4 million to every municipality and division within cities to facilitate the exercise, including but not limited to fuel costs and allowances for data entry clerks. At the time of the committee's visit, however, some of the officials had not received this facilitation due to the bureaucratic challenges associated with vote change and staff structuring now that they had become cities. As a matter of fact, many civil servants, including town clerks in the new administrative units, had not received their salaries. The committee recommends that government expedites the process of operationalizing the new administrative units to enable them fully function. Multiple payments. In the circular provided by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, only one person, a household, was supposed to be registered in their relief fund. The committee noted abuse across the locations visited. In Fort Portal City and Tungama Municipality, for instance, there were cases of husband and wife registering under the same household and benefiting. Some even outside the categories required. In Masindi, several people had similar names and names, but altered the case form, one in the upper case and the other in the lower case. This clearly shows that the NIN was manipulated by the users, other town councils stroke urban areas. The committee noted that the action by government to provide relief to only the vulnerable in cities and municipalities was segregative, as the lockdown occasioned by government was countrywide. Curfew hours was being implemented strictly across the country, including town councils and urban areas. This equally disrupted the citizens in those areas who were engaged in employment to continue with their daily earnings. The general recommendations. The Auditor General should carry out a forensic audit in the exercise and make appropriate recommendations. 2, the Ministry of Gender should, 1, ensure that all officers who were fraudulently registered and received relief fund refund the money. 2, ensure the functionality of disaster management committees in all administrative units from which disaster policies can be developed and implemented. 3, prioritize sensitization of any intervention by government, as many people did not know the criteria to get assistance under the intervention. 4, prioritize recruitment of statisticians and other relevant staff to boost the capacity of local administrative units and data administration. The government should discourage giving out handouts by deliberately strengthening social security support systems that is sustainable in the long term. Religious and cultural institutions should be involved in these efforts. Such an intervention must be considered in the future. Should such an intervention be considered in the future, the Ministry for Disaster Management should be the one to coordinate the response efforts, since they have the expertise as well as developed structure and transcends down to the local government. Conclusion. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the Joint Committee on Public Accounts, Central and Local Government applauds the government's intervention to alleviate the hardships occasioned by lockdown on the people. However, considering the challenges that came with this intervention, it's prudent that the government ensures that proper structures are put in place and the Ministry of Local Government and Ministry of Disaster Preparedness is empowered to handle any future reoccurrences should such an intervention be considered. In our considered view, the recommendations contained in this report will go a long way in addressing the gaps identified during this exercise. I beg to move that the report be adopted. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Medad Segona, the Chair of PAC. And thank you for the elaborate report. We are in this house as representatives of the people out there, and we must do the right thing. Honorable members, before I put the debate, I would like to make a few observations from the Chair's communication. Looking at the report of the Joint Public Accounts, Local Government and Central, there was non-involvement of the area members of Parliament when they were giving out this money. We are the representatives of these people. Why don't they involve us? How will you get clout from your members? Even if you took only 100,000 to a person, even if you're involved in identification, it will have created you a political mileage. Non-involvement of the political leaders was very, very wrong when giving out this money, and that was a bad practice. We have always said, if you're going to my constituency, you're going to my district, you're doing anything, please involve the political leaders. We are the voice of the voiceless. So we must be the one to speak for our people. There is that problem that we're not involved in the exercise, but that as it may be, there should be no abdication of our oversight duty. We need to make sure that our oversight duty is being done. We have to do the oversight. I also know that there was an abuse of office by different authorities. Different personnel abused their offices and did not do the right thing. And as the committee, like in municipalities, in town councils, I remember some people were even arrested, and I don't know what took place after that. And as the recommendation from the committee, Auditor General must take that up, and an action must be taken on those people who abuse the offices. And lastly, in the implementation of such important programs, the true line ministries should be involved. For example, the Ministry of Relief and Disaster Preparedness. That was a relief. There was a disaster. We needed to involve the Ministry of Relief and Disaster Preparedness. And then, because they have the technical expertise on these issues, but if we want to do it on our own, then we'll have a problem. And when we are doing the identification of the people, let's not sit in Kampala and identify the people on a computer. People should be identified on the ground. You cannot know who is a needy person in my constituency, in my village. We have cows in the districts. Cows are people we can punish. If you say the cow, make sure that you monitor this activity to the latter, a cow will do it. But if you give a politician that you're giving an FDC chairperson, an NRM chairperson, a NUP chairperson, will they be accountable? Will your people have benefited? So as we make resolutions on the next program, let's put all these things in mind. Technology has just come, let's not experiment. Cecilia said something, was it Cecilia? It was Tinker. Tinker said something yesterday. Let's not allow this money, whether it is donor money or what, we should not allow this money to go just like the other cash money went. I now open the floor for a debate for 30 minutes. Abbe, Lilian.
Thank you very much.
Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas the intent for this money was a good one. Right Honorable Speaker, everything was wrong about the action taken. And I want to thank the committee, the team, for doing a good work and having invested time and analyzed these issues. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to pay attention and value taxpayers' money. And we must ensure that whenever we take money to the community, it reaches the direct beneficiary. Right Honorable Speaker, this country adopted the policy of decentralization. We have the local government functioning. I do not understand why we want to do things from the central and always be reactionary. Number one challenge we have is the issue of keeping data. The second problem we have is rushing to do something before carefully analyzing the impact. I would therefore suggest that the money we are supposed to give or send private teachers, we must use the chief administrative officers because the district has got a system functioning. We do not want to have the same challenge. It is only prudent that we do the right thing. They say doing the right thing in the same way and you expect different results will never yield fruits. Insist that those who mismanage must be brought to books and they must be brought to records. And I insist that the next disbursement of money for the private teachers, we must use the cows at the district. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lillian, Honorable Dr. Peya, Honorable Kelo. Edie.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you, the committee, for bringing the issues out. Right Honorable Speaker, this report insinuates about two things. One, it really unveils the uncoordination of our ministries, departments, and agencies. That when a program is brought forward, every ministry is struggling to have it run by themselves. And that is why we see all these disjointed kind of reactionary processes that we see. The second thing I see that my honorable colleague has just said is the devolution of power and implementing the decentralization policy or law that we have in this country. We have structures right from the village level that would recognize if that person is a border or not. But we choose to use a centralized system that cannot help us to reach to the last person. And I think for future work of this nature, of social grants like this, let us appreciate the structures that we have in our communities. The last issue that this report brings is the issue of equity. I know there were decisions made that the people in urban areas were much more affected than the rural areas, but it brought a lot of issues politically, that it is the country, the COVID did not come only for the people in town, and people were also dying in the villages. So I think for future work, if we are doing anything, if we do not have it, we rather don't do it. But let us not use programs like this to bring about a lot of disunity in the country. I think programs like this, I know that UBOS was involved and NIRA was involved, but how come that we could not know should get the grant? Data usage and data management is so critical in any social grants that we hope to implement in this country.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Peya.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Me, I'm rising on the matter of planning and the way the beneficiaries were chosen. Because for me, I represent people at the constituency. According to the minister, as if to them, they think all the businesses are being run at the cities. And yet, we also have businesses at the constituencies. So people suffered and all the burdens were upon us. We have to cater for the people at the rural centers. And even the church leaders were left out. And these people suffered up to today. You know, the churches were closed, but when we raised that, nobody even catered for them. So next time, if there's anything, we need to involve the MPs, and planning is better from the bottom-up approach. That's why government programs are failing, because of planning from the ministry, leaving us, the member of parliament, outside. I beg to submit.
Thank you. And members, when you're debating to read this report, I want you to relate to the cash bonanza to the teachers. I want to know whether we should still make the same mistake, or if there was no mistake, can this parliament pass a resolution today that can the Minister of Gender go and give out the cash bonanza to the teachers?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and the honorable members. For the record, I'm Idi Isawire, MP, Winya County South in Maige District. I want to thank the chairman of the committee for the report and the members. Right Honorable Speaker, the motive of this program was okay, but the implementation was not really done effectively. The method that was used to identify the beneficiaries was not the proper method. And the principle of saying that the town dwellers should be the one to benefit was also not good. I represent a rural constituency. Remember, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, when the country was locked down, many people, there was an influx of movement of people from towns to the villages. So the impact equally was so much on the rural areas. I have islands. My island people did not benefit in this. And when the country was locked down, the government did not think about the people who stay in islands, because these are hard to reach and hard to stay areas. But I want to thank the government at least for beginning this program. But the system of using identification, the national IDs, should also be looked at. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have national IDs that have expiry dates. I don't know next time when we have.
Yes. Right, Honorable Speaker. My name is Lematia John, Member of Parliament, Ivy West, Arua City. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to take this chance to thank the committee for that report. I want to speak about data in relation to Arua City. The report did not bring out clearly about IVU. Right, Honorable Speaker, in Arua City, UBOS gave a report data on Arua Central only. And yet in Arua City, we have 2 divisions. The data which was given was only for Central, which was 60% of the 60 households, leaving out 21,500 beneficiaries from IV division out. It is my prayer that as the report has been generated, can really the minister consider the division which was left out, that is IV, with a total of 21,500 beneficiaries. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the time and the system used for giving out the money was not proper. If you look at the time frame given for the city clerks to do all this work, to me, it was not proper. And then secondly, the system used, you see some of the system, even displaying a result was hard, not until it is in the system. So I beg next time when.
Yeah, right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable member of IVO, if you looked at the report very well, it is talking about IVO and how IVO did not benefit because of non-capturing of the data. I wish you were attentive when the report was being read. That is on page. The committee recommends that the Minister of Gender and Labor and Social Development should consider giving relief to the residents of Ivo Division and Northern Division of Arua and Fort Portal cities, respectively. So the committee captured your issues. Giovanni.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My concern is on page 16 about the issue of double payment by Post Bank to the beneficiaries. About 6,000 beneficiaries were double paid to a tune of 614,550,000. Only 380 was recovered. The balance of 243, we can't tell where it is. What have we done as government to recover the balance that was not recovered? And this could help, for instance, sub-counties or districts that do not benefit at all. If someone wonders why there are those that were paid twice and some were left out completely. Right Honorable Speaker, also I would talk about the issue of procedure and the criteria used. I think we are still wondering on the criteria that was used. So I would recommend that next time when we are taking out the program, we first think of the procedure and the guidelines. I beg to submit to it, Honorable Speaker.
And I think as people, as an institution that does the appropriation of funds, maybe it would also be good for the procedure to be brought to this house for us to understand. We need to understand what is going on with the money we are giving out, whether it is donor money or what. We need to appreciate as legislators. Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bokadi Di George is my name. I represent the people of Obongi constituency. I want to thank the chair of the two committees and the Honorable Minister who presented the proposal to give money to our teachers. Right, Honorable Speaker, the report presented has brought three key issues that I would like to debate on. Issue number one is appreciating the national policy on social protection, which is a good policy with good pillars and a strategy and a program that if we really respect it, will not make us be firefighting. I want to thank the government of Uganda for the COVID Relief Fund, and I also want to thank Give Direct for the efforts that they have made to extend assistance to our private school teachers. My first observation is related to evidence-informed planning and programming, and that affects the Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Finance, the National Planning Authority, and the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Do we know our population? Do we know who are vulnerable? At the era of digitalization, should we be firefighting? Really? In getting the facts and figures and statistics for evidence-informed planning and programming? Number two is disaster preparedness and response and our role as Parliament in emergency planning and allocation of resources to respond.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm called Irene Linda, woman member of Parliament for Fort Portal City. First of all, I would like to thank the Committee of PAC for this comprehensive report. And Madam Speaker, my point is on the issue of understaffing of cities. As newly created cities, we have a very big challenge of staff because the structures have never been approved. And this one has greatly affected the operations and development of the cities. My prayer is, can Ministry of Local Government approve the structures for these cities? And then on the issue of the cash to be given to the private teachers, personally, I've tried to mobilize the private teachers, but most of them are not registered, and the few who are registered benefited in the first lot. The nursery teachers are there, they cannot apply for this relief. So my prayer is, can the nursery teachers also be allowed to access this money? Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the chair of the committee for the wonderful report he presented to this August House. It was indeed a very rich report. Madam Speaker, the issue of the relief fund that was given to the vulnerable people was grossly abused if we all followed the report of the committee. Madam Speaker, from the criteria for the selection of beneficiaries to double payments of some beneficiaries to quite a number of issues that were raised by the committee, I want to agree with the recommendations that were given by the committee. However, Madam Speaker, sometimes it beats my understanding how government rushes to implementation of such programs. Because first of all, we need to analyze what do we want to achieve? What is our objective? And that will drive us to come into the right methodologies to use. Because looking at how this money was rushed at giving to the beneficiaries, definitely I expected such an outcome from the committee. So Madam Speaker, to me, I look at how this money was grossly abused by those who were supposed to handle the money, and then I want to agree with the committee on the recommendation, one, of recovery of funds. For the monies that we can still recover, I strongly recommend that we should recover these funds. And secondly, Madam Speaker, on officers, technical officers who neglected their duties, and yet they knew they had roles to play. Madam Speaker, this must be handled with a harder fist, because we need to teach people a lesson. Then we shall start taking some of these things seriously. Madam Speaker, I'm looking forward to the money that we are supposed to give as relief handout still to the teacher. Just a minute. I am worried whether we should continue to give gender the authority to give this money alone or not. Because, Madam Speaker, my recommendation would be we need to involve fully the Ministry of Education in this money. And then we need to involve, because there's a commissioner who sits in the Ministry of Education who is fully in charge of private schools. How do we rush with Ministry of Gender giving money to private teachers, and yet the Ministry of Education is fully responsible for our teachers in the country? So I strongly recommend that Ministry of Education should take the lead.
Honorable Guang.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like also to echo and appreciate what the committee has done. But I also want to quickly appreciate what the minister presented yesterday to support the teachers, because 30 billion in the economy starts improving the purchasing power, which is badly required. We need to expedite this. So I thank government for thinking of that, and also for supporting the private schools and the private sector at that. Despite what the committee said, I just want to say clearly that let teaching teachers who are teaching be supported. Let's stress those people, stress them. You don't need to, let me repeat that. Let teaching
Let me correct you, Honorable Gwal. The principle of giving the teachers the money is acceptable. We agree that we are going to give the teachers the money, and we appreciate that our teachers are getting the money. There are two things that we are looking at. How much are we giving the teachers, and how are we giving the teachers? Are we still going through the same process that we are saying was not correct, or we are going to do the decentralization? That is where we are now.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think, borrowing from what the committee has said, we need to involve more people. And that's why I'm saying in my presentation that let's use and involve the private teachers associations rather than pressing persons registered or licensed at the ministry. Because if you trace through the private associations, you will get the teacher who taught. You will get the teacher who taught and whom we are looking for. So let's not rely so much on the registry or the license side.
Thank you.
Lastly, let's build this digitalization process. Let's not break it. It helps in traceability We should build it so that it is the one which helps us to catch the thieves. Let's give these people money quickly because they are badly off. Thank you very much.
We are not going to give out money in a haphazard way and say quickly, because you feel other people should just eat the money anyhowly. We need to create procedures and processes in this country. Catherine? Catherine?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Catherine Damira Atwachire. You can get one that will be easy for you, for us to be differentiated. I come from Kabale, and I will interest myself on how the money was distributed. Madam Speaker, allow me to appreciate the work of the chairman. They and the committee members, they have tried to highlight the issues that have affected most of us. Right Honorable Speaker, I come from the border that borders the other country and ours. That one that borders Kabale. But to assure you, Madam Speaker, some members from that side have the IDs of ours, and they got the money. Yes, and our natives never got. It was so sad. Majority cried, but we had no help. So, Madam Speaker, I would think that next time the government or the planners should go well-knowingly. Madam Speaker, I want to let you know that if they had not wanted to involve us as members of parliament, but at least the involvement of village leaders would be vital if they wanted to know the people that would be of help. Madam Speaker, if we go to the issue of private teachers, Madam, we have a categories of members. Thank you, Madam Speaker. There are teachers who are employed by private schools. There are those who do part-time, but not employed. And the government each year, it produces teachers with certificates. Now, Madam Speaker, I wanted to know clearly, who are the people, who are the private teachers that will be considered in this? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okwiri?
Thank you so much.
I am coming.
Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I join my colleagues in thanking the committee for the report that was well presented here. I have one or two concerns, Madam Speaker, on the issue of the money that is supposed to go to private teachers. Madam Speaker, there are schools that have not yet completed the process of registration. And they've already submitted to the ministry. But the Ministry of Gender is asking submissions of names with registration numbers. And my fear is that most of the schools that have supported our children and the teachers will miss out. Why can't we borrow a leaf from the Ministry of Local Government, how the LC1 chairpersons are paid? Yes. No. Madam Speaker, the LC1 chairperson are paid at the sub-county. And they are called on the day of payment and everybody appears. And there is no duplication. It is straightforward. So I joined the colleagues who are saying money should be sent to the office of the cow, and the office of the DEO arranges, and then payments are made to the teachers if we are to support them. I thank you.
Thank you. Faye?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I am a member of PAC, so I will not comment about our report.
You're a member of PAC?
I will comment about the next cash.
No, you will discuss the next cash. Next.
The next cash we are distributing to the teachers.
No, we are going to discuss the next item. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I am Lokwang Phillips Ilukol, Member of Parliament, Napori West. Madam Speaker, in this gesture of helping the vulnerable persons, I think the technical persons who did that did not take enough research. This is in reference to Karamoja, for example. The two cities that was identified in Karamoja are heavily inhabited by people who move from the village to have a survival in town. And therefore, most of them don't have IDs. And when you use the criteria of using an ID, you'll find that all of them do not benefit from such. I would still request that the people should be able to include these inhabitants in the system. The second item is about payment for teachers. I want us to correct that there are no private teachers, but they are private school teachers. In this sense, most of these private schools hire the teachers, and some of which are teachers who are on government payroll in other schools, and they come to part-time in these private schools. I therefore request that let the DO's office in conjunction with the COW's office identify teachers who are duly recruited and paid in the private schools than paying those
Order,
ones who
Madam
are there.
Speaker.
I beg to submit.
After you, you go to Tinker.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to appreciate very much also the report given. But however, I won't talk in general, in that always when this money is supposed to be distributed, just like the way Madam Speaker has mentioned, I don't know where the fear is that the leaders are always put aside. Like when you come to the MP is a consultant for the government, but you'll find these things are done without a member of parliament notice. When you come to the local councils, in every area, things are done without their notice. That's why you see one of the reports said, the guy was put to be a border, but he's a builder. Now, how did he go to become a border? That means to me, in a simple analysis, it's like calling, is Polycarp there in Agole? Yes. Polycarp, whom shall we give this money? I mentioned my brother without any consultation. And because you are seated here, you are remembering your friend at certain corners so that you distribute the money. So generally, the process at which the money was distributed is totally very poor, and we must accept that any money that's supposed to be distributed, let's work together. Let's remove the business of saying, I don't know whether it is a fear of the powers
that a minister may say, an MP will take my powers. We don't take powers from a minister. Together. People are supposed to develop and improve the works of the government. And so therefore, I would kindly request, in the way that the minister is concerned, like if I can give you an example of a Myoga, it was already a mess. It's the same thing that's going on and going on. So kindly, let's work together, ministers, and we make sure that our people, the real vulnerable people, benefit. Thank you very much.
Tinker.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you so much for the good work and your committee members. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to register my thanks to you for this kind of approach, particularly when monies are distributed. You demand that we need to know what is going on. You started with a Myoga. That was a good thing that you did. We are now seeing this matter of the border money. And your border money, of course, that's how we call it, because the first person they called, they said it was border. Kumbe was a builder. You can see how it is really working for us to find out the truth lying behind these distributions. I am glad we are going to move forward to give to the teachers when at least we are following something that is practically possible for us to have value for money. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to raise the bar and say the money that we are following is 0.001% of the national budget. We have almost spent an hour debating that 0.001 of the national budget. We have not allocated reasonable time to debate on monies which are given to sectors like defense. For the last 36 years, they have been receiving a share of 22% of the national budget. We have never given it a critical time to discuss and ask questions. The Minister for Education, we have children studying on the floor, but a lot of money, 22% of the national budget is being allocated, and we are not asking these critical questions. Now the bar that I want to raise is that can we move, Right Honorable Speaker, from this matter and again handle these big percentages and deliver to our constituents what should be delivered. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members.
Thank you. Thank you. Enoch?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want also to join my colleagues in appreciating the initiative of your office and this parliament to follow up some money of government being dispersed to do a certain work for this country. But also I want to thank the chairman for the good report that he presented. When I looked at the list of persons that benefited, it is an embarrassment to us who are supposed to do oversight roles. Now we are heading for another kind of an exercise. What do I propose? I propose that they all listed as schools in our districts be categorized in our constituencies. Let the list be first forwarded. Let the members of parliament look at this, because we all know those institutions in our constituencies, so that we can also pass it. We don't need even to approve, so that we can do something that is correct and perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you're a member of Park local government, Park or Central, don't even stand. Why don't you people sit down? People have already debated. You're going to repeat on the same things. Same things. Huh? I want the lady. I can't see you well because of the mask. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Gorethi, not you. The lady who are 2 in 1. Yes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the chairperson of the committee for the report he has given. We know very well what we have been going through in this country. The issue about extraction from the officials. In COVID-19 money, we have had a scenario where people have been getting money from the community, in a sense that you'll be given, and for you to register, you need to give them some money. Now, in this one that we are going to, the private teachers are going to get money. We know there are a lot of things that will be going on. And the first thing that we really need to consider is, what strategy are we going to use to give money to the private teachers? For me, I would suggest, if possible, maybe the only thing the minister can do is to go through COUS, LC5, and also the DO of each district. One thing I want to put it very clearly is about the money that people are really using in this country. We have heard of a scenario where money is going to the wrong hands, and those ones who have been given money, we are not supposed to be getting that money. Now, we have the teachers who are supposed to get the money. We have teachers who are teaching in government school, but they are not under the payroll. What is the minister going to do? Are those people, those teachers also under the same category of teachers that are going to be paid? That is one. Another thing is about the mayors and the councillors who got the COVID-19 money. As a country, we need to punish those ones who got the money, because for them, the money was meant for the poor, not for the rich. Thank you so much.
The next person, Devandeke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also appreciate your initiative towards supervising this and oversight. Right, Honorable Speaker, my worry is how this money was determined and how it came to be distributed to the vulnerables. In the first place, the president, as a fountain of honor and the political head of the country, is being helped by the ministers, which ministers are also political heads. But I'm just wondering how they fail to work with the MPs who are political heads, the chairpersons 5s who are political heads, chairperson 3s, and the whole structure is streamlined up to chairperson LC1s. If the issue is supposed to be moving under political wing, why excluding the MPs? Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at it as a discrimination of MPs, where the ministers ill-advise the president, then they opt to work with.
We are supposed to monitor.
Yes.
We do not implement. That is one. And if you don't
make sure that you do your oversight role, then you are at a loss. As an MP, you must do your oversight role.
Honorable Speaker, I appreciate that. But even during the oversight role, we are not accorded due content and data as a basis for oversight. Right, Honorable Speaker, if this money was to be...
Can I ask you, Honorable Tebandeke, do you know your powers as a member of parliament? Do you know your powers? And if you know your powers as a member of parliament, that you have powers even to get any document that you want. Check Article 90. Honorable Lulume.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Baiga Michael Lulume, Salongo is my name. I want to thank the committee for this good report. I have read, and indeed they said there was segregation between those who were living in the cities and municipalities, leaving out those ones in town councils. A constituency which I represent has 3 town councils. And the lifestyle of those who are in the town councils and municipalities is very similar. For us in the rural constituencies, as MPs were left to do what government did in the municipalities and the cities. I was, however, delighted that a few of my members within the community called me to thank me for enabling them to get some of this money. I was not part of it, and I said so. That is how I discovered that the process of distribution of this money, including the compiling of those who are supposed to be benefiting, was already wrong. That is why in a rural constituency, some people got it. I discovered in the report that 1.43 billion had been discovered left hanging on the account, maybe of Postbank. I wonder what we are going to do with that money, and the committee didn't make a necessary recommendation about it. Now, in respect of the distribution of money, I have heard about members talking about Minister of Gender, and so on and so forth. Well, Right Honorable Speaker, if there is a process that can be... Can I add a second? As a doctor.
As a herbalist or doctor. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
I would argue, Right Honorable Speaker, that the system which was used in the previous distribution of funds could have been wrong. But I believe that any responsible government could make improvements from time to time. All that this parliament needs to have is a process in which we can make contributions and which can be monitored, and of which results can be objectively verifiable, other than simply getting communications, availing information, of which the process for which this information is going to be used will have doubtable results. I thank you very much, and I thank you, the committee.
We've had enough debate on this matter. Members are now repeating on the same thing. Chair, do you have what to say? I only want one disability in PD. Only one disability.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the chairperson for this elaborate report. But at the same time, Madam Speaker, I want to raise a concern. Yesterday, when the the minister was presenting her report, she did mention to this parliament that the other cash bonanza was a success. And reading from what the chairman has presented today, it appears that not even 20%, as you said yesterday, was achieved under that arrangement. And Madam Speaker, after the parliament resolved that we need to first discuss the report, when the minister went out and the journalist interviewed her, she said the parliament has not stopped me from continuing with what I've been doing. For us, we are going to proceed with what we have been doing. And that indicates that without her appreciating the mistakes that were made in the other cash bonanza, we are going to face a lot of problem in this second bonanza.
I didn't hear that statement. Honorable Minister.
Thank you. That was.
Sit. Honorable Minister, is that what you told the country, that you're going to continue? Or have you already paid?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I made it clear that the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development will continue with data collection, because I knew your ruling was very clear that on principle, Parliament will not stop the payment to private teachers. However, today there will be a debate on the issues of the past program to inform recommendation on how to improve. So it is data collection that I indicated will continue. And data collection is continuing.
Honorable Minister, can I also find out, have you done any payment out on that money?
We have not paid. We are collecting data.
Thank you. Now, the debate on this matter has stopped. Whoever has not debated on this will debate on the cash bonanza. And Chair, do you have anything to add? Amen. Seunga, I'm tired of your procedures.
I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
But you people, you just appreciate. I am seated here talking from the time I come until we leave. And you're there, procedure, order. Can't you really appreciate? And put yourself in my shoes. Can I have?
Right Honorable Speaker, by way of appreciation now, let me thank you and my colleagues. First of all, for the compliments to the committee. Permit me to say that this was a co-chaired joint committee. And I want to express gratitude to my co-chair, my young brother, the Honorable Ojara Martin Mapinduzi, and the joint teams of Park Central and Park local government. I take responsibility for anything that may remain wanting, but for the compliments go to my team that worked tirelessly and jointly together. Right Honorable Speaker, I raised the question of those who were arrested. Yes, we did ask the police, the CID, to apprehend and investigate. They made a comprehensive report which is attached to the minutes that we have submitted, and the matter will be attended to by the police, including prosecution, which we directed. If it is the pleasure of this House, we would recommend, therefore, that those apprehended and investigated be prosecuted urgently. But do not remember that we also made recommendation for a forensic audit, which perhaps would aid the police to a greater detail in undertaking the possible prosecution. To colleagues about the double payment, yes, we did recommend recovery, but also recommended that those involved in any wrongdoing, especially criminal acts, be handled in accordance with the law. With respect to guidelines, I think we also made recommendation that there should be proper guidelines and that the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness takes lead in the future in the event of such similar occurrences. I have also been touched by the concern by the Honorable Linda, woman MP for Porto City, about the understaffing. I think there has been a research in this country that all local governments are understaffed to the extent of 47%. I think it's a matter that Parliament may wish in the future to take interest in. Honorable colleagues, I think also the matter of education, I think was at the forefront of the debate today. Our terms of reference were to look at all identified categories of intended beneficiaries. And therefore, we were not paying particular attention to teachers in private schools, which seems to have been a major dominant concern in today's debate. Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Catherine Damira, on some other people who access national IDs, that was not part of our terms of reference, and it is a matter that we clearly avoided in this report for legal and diplomatic reasons. The last issue, actually two issues, one Honorable Dr. Lulu Mebaiga, Salongo, that some people from the rural constituency got or benefited. I think we said, yes, there are categories of people who are not intended beneficiaries, but benefited. And this will help the ministry in undertaking further remedial action. Finally, I think the Honorable Barnabas Tinker-Simile, some of the matters you raised, I think, relate to classification of accounts or classified accounts. I am not one of those that will be tempted to discuss them, but I can also urge government, for purposes of accountability, 36 years is a lot of time. In other civilized countries, they declassify, and those that have been declassified are discussed in the national parliaments. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, and I reiterate our prayer that you find pleasure in adopting the resolutions. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, you respond on the report, okay?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and members. I want to start by thanking the committee for the report. And Right Honorable Speaker, the reason why we became very transparent with this exercise is because we understand that the principle that underlines democracy is that the three arms of government as their functions, and that Parliament is responsible for checks and balance of the executive. And therefore, that I am appreciating the role of Parliament. Unless probably my English is a little bit difficult, but I am saying Parliament as an oversight.
Right Honorable Speaker, we all know English and we respect English because we learned it at an infancy stage. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm raising a point of order. The Honorable Minister is stating that we are very transparent. But you as a speaker, you direct the investigation into this matter. And indeed here, you can see 2.80 billion was spent on administration. Yet her ministry, ministers and officials are given allowances plus vehicles. We look at Post Bank, money was lost worth 614 million at their cost. And she says they are so transparent. And she knows English very much. Right now, Speaker, the Honourable Minister, the former UPC member, and another supporter, and a vowed one, we used to sit with here, raising similar matters in order to come before this house, August House, tell us how they are transparent. Yet when you make a deep investigation on the allowances that we have paid to this 2.80 billion, might even have got 500 per day at the cost of those Ugandans who are given 100 shillings and they were taxed by Post Bank. Is she in order to tell us that she was very transparent? Yet even here I see she's not very transparent. No speak.
And I was saying, you know, transparency is relative. Transparency is relative. And maybe my sister also, to show total transparency. When you're making the guidelines, that is, if you had the guidelines, you ought to have brought them to present to us as the House. We needed to have known what category of people are getting money, how are they getting money. That is the kind of transparency. It's after we realized that there was something wrong. That's when we did a post-mortem. We did post-mortem as Parliament. We are the custodians of the law of this country. And that's what members are saying. Yes, we need to be transparent. Well, that is good. You've made a commitment to that. But the amount that was spent on administrative costs alone was enough to cover all my constituency. It would have cost inflation in my constituency. So Honorable Member, just give a brief.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, I want to reiterate that this exercise came out of a decision of Cabinet. The issue of who should collect the data, criteria, and the premise was because at that time we were in a lockdown. And Cabinet debated, actually we put a case for allowing LC1s to be the one to participate in data collection. But because of the fact that we were in lockdown and at the time the pandemic was so difficult with Delta variant, Cabinet said we cannot involve LC. Once you say LC is the whole country, it's like it is out. So we were guided by Cabinet. Therefore, I want to state that in the future, I will relay these issues to Cabinet. But now that pandemic and the economy has opened, that is why I came with the second cash relief in this Parliament, to show you that as a ministry, we cherish involvement of leaders. But at that time, because of the pandemic and lockdown, Cabinet guided that you cannot unleash from LC1 to Parliament everybody to participate in the exercise. So that was the reason. I want to make it on record. And two, I want to appreciate and notify Parliament that government has already invited Attorney General and IGG to collaborate, because as a ministry, the committee captured very well that ours as a ministry was to give guidelines. Those who were supposed to identify, validate, and register were town clerks at the city and municipality level. And the committee has indicated the lists are there, good enough with technology. You cannot run away from the list. Even those who will lie that they did not get the money, we will trace you and we will make you know that you got the money. Because there are also people who got the money and are saying they didn't get the money. And I'm glad when a member was speaking, She said, why don't you in the teachers' bonanza open it up? Because some of the teachers are saying they already got money in the last one. So the good thing is the data is available. Auditor General is auditing, IGG is auditing. So we will be as transparent as possible. Administrative, the issue was,
Honorable Minister, we
Yes.
know the Auditor General do its work, but Auditor General does postmortem. Let's do the right thing. Right thing. Before we go and start lamenting behind that the wrong thing was done. For us, let's do the right thing now. And that's why we are discussing this. As we go for the cash bonanza, let's do the correct thing. Let the money go to the right people. We are helping you and helping your ministry. We are not against your ministry.
I know that, right, Honorable, but I am responsible for putting facts on table. I cannot leave
Please, can you
government
summarize?
position not to be put. I have to put
Okay.
on table all the issues that moved government to do what they have done, to respond to it. But I also indicated the reason why the teachers' cash has come to Parliament. It's because we understand now we have opened, let us work together. That's why we have requested that let's join hands, give us all the ideas, and we shall be able. No, let me conclude.
Now let her conclude.
We are going to make sure we involve everybody and all the leaders in this next cash
Honorable
relief
Minister, can
for
you
teachers.
conclude?
I want to thank you, Right Honorable, and I will report in due course on how we have integrated the ideas of Parliament in this next one. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I am happy we have debated these two issues together. Sewungu, what is your issue?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I am sorry for taking long to raise this issue, but it depends on what a member on the floor is saying, and most especially the minister. If you internalize properly what the minister is saying about cash bonanza and bring it to Parliament, she's as if is trying to insinuate that the Parliament should not be questioning. She's only helping, but Cabinet would conclude that. And Honorable Speaker, the principal role of Parliament is oversight function and accountability of the minister's executive. Now, if she starts to raise such statements, as we leave Madam Speaker, you go and analyze her submission on the answer. She's as if wants to say that she was helping us. But we as a Parliament, as long as any money is coming from the consolidated fund, we are supposed to monitor it and find out how it was spent.
Even if it is not from consolidated
Even if it's not
fund.
from, right, Honorable,
Like
very
this
good.
one, I'm told it's a donor fund, we must.
Everything. So the Honorable Minister, as he submits, I know that I was in Public Accounts Committee with you, and I've been that. So right now, Speaker,
so
let us not have that kind of submission on this floor, where executive wants to overpower Parliament. Then I'm very useless here. I'm not here for talking, I'm here for accountability and the management of government funds. Oversight function.
Thank you, Honorable Sewungu, member. Thank you for the debate. I now put a question that the report of the Joint Committee of Public Accounts Committee on Central Government and Local Government on exercise of verification of the list of beneficiaries of COVID-19 relief funds be adopted by this August House. Those in favor say aye, the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Thank you so much, the chairs of and the committee members of different committees. Now that we've debated, we've also debated the cash bonanza. Members, we have debated the cash bonanza. we should be able to come up with the resolutions. We need to guide the ministry on how to handle the cash bonanza. Being on the chair does not stop me from giving my suggestion. We need a guidelines on how this money is going to be given out, district by, and then beneficiaries, district per district. Two, the Ministry of Education should take a lead in the process of giving out this money. Three, the decentralization, the devolution of power using the administrative structures that know the private schools in the area must take a lead in identifying who are the beneficiaries of this money. Analysis and compilation of beneficiaries must be done by the administrative leadership plus the Ministry of Education. An oversight role shall be done by Ministry of Gender, since it is the one that received the money. You're going to do an oversight role as gender. Committee of Education will do an oversight role on what is happening, and the members of parliament of different districts must be involved. The Committee of Gender are members of parliament. Let education take a lead. Then I want the recommendations, not procedure, not orders, not what. What is additional recommendation?
Right, Honorable Speaker.
And members, I want Honorable Minister, kindly do us a favor as Parliament. Don't give out money before we approve and before the ministry. A Minister of Education should fully be involved in this. Kindly don't take a lead in giving out money.
Right, Honorable Speaker. We have an outstanding matter which was supposed to come on Tuesday. Actually, it was the other week, Thursday, about the statement from the Minister on fuel prices.
Can we finish one item? We are on the cash bonanza.
Cash bonanza? I thought you were done, you had given.
Yes, I've given the ruling.
I thought.
On the recommendation, Madam.
Members.
On the recommendation, Madam.
I thought we would follow your ruling.
Order.
Mutatis mutandis.
Members.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are dealing with a very important issue, and you have made a ruling. And you have requested that we come with additional recommendation. Is it in order, therefore, for Honorable Tinker to divert your ruling into discussing something else by way of procedure? Is it in order for him to abuse the rule of procedure?
No, you know, Honorable Tinker had just come in, so he wasn't aware of what I'd said. Honorable members, I love the way you're shouting like this is a market. Can everybody sit? I have given my recommendations. You'll debate on what the minister will bring. Minister, no giving out money. I don't need an answer from you, Minister. No giving out money before we have procedures, guidelines in place, before we have a list of members of parliament in identifying people in their constituencies. The Ministry of Education Somebody said there is a commissioner. There is a commissioner in charge of private schools. The Minister of Education must take a charge. For me, what I want gender to do is to do oversight. You can go to the microphone and accept the role.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I want to thank you for your recommendation, and I want to confirm with you that the Ministry of Education, we are working with the Ministry of Gender. The commissioner in charge of private schools and training is the one actually heading the collection of data. The day that we had a press media conference, I was together with the minister, and we have a team from education. I just want to
I am not
confirm-
saying, Honorable Minister, I am not saying working hand in hand.
Okay.
I am saying take a lead.
I will. I am obliged, Madam Speaker,
I
that
adjourn
we
the
will
house.
take a
I
lead.
adjourn the house to tomorrow at 2.
Thank you.